There are global challenges that we're facing. I don't think we have a minute to waste. I don't think we have an hour to waste.
What if we all came together and said, let's look at the infrastructure of Africa, whether we are talking about healthcare, education.
When the chips are down, when things are going wrong, Americans rally. They come up with fresh ideas. And we need fresh, rigorously debated ideas, especially now.
As an activist, I don't think I'm entitled to lose hope. As long as we resist, as long as we fight back, we'll never give up. We'll continue the role of democracy.
Despite of this huge level of violence and, this hell Lukashenko committed after election, people are not giving up.
We continue to fight to defend democracy because we know that the majority of Ugandans, those that don't carry guns, those that are not blessed enough to be born in rich families, can only survive when there is democracy.
Democracy is a fundamental building block for peace, prosperity, and human rights.
We have to really take a good hard look at what we're allowing to happen. We cannot be selective about who we defend and whose abuses we ignore.
We must maintain the convictions that made America great. They have significance to oppressed people around the world.
We have an opportunity to continue to shape the arc of history toward the values that we all have come to love and to aspire to attain.
For many people, they just don't realize that modern slavery is happening in their towns and cities, in their locality, and that the goods that they're buying may very well have been bought on the back of slave labor. It isn't just for government and it isn't just for law enforcement. Actually, we all have to come together collectively as society.
I believe that the role of the government must be to equalize the playing field so everybody benefits equally.
You haven't asked me about my pin, but I wore it deliberately, and it's "We the People," it says. And I really do think that is the important part in terms of getting the people of countries to be supportive of the kind of change that allows them then to make decisions and not to be told what to do.
It started when the president said that the press was the enemy of the American people. Now, I've fought the enemy of the American people, and it's not the press.
But how do you unring that bell? How do you rebuild trust in the system?
Well, first off, elected officials need to stop lying to the American people.
If we're more worried about, fighting over whether you should wear a mask or not, and that means we're not talking about, them amassing troops, the Russians amassing troops on Ukraine's border.
I think that when our allies look to the United States, they do want consistency. They do want to know that our word means something.
I do think the bigger picture here, though, is, we have officially ended the 20 years of the post 9/11 era, right? I think it ended on January 6th, where the greatest threats to Americans, physical threats, were coming from foreign terrorist organizations outside the United States projecting in. And I think we have to acknowledge that we're in a different era.
You were on Capitol Hill on January 6th when the attack occurred. One thing I'd like to know from you is what it was like to return to the floor of the House that evening after the insurrection.
This is a recurring theme in American history of organized white supremacy. The difference, I think, is twofold. First, the lethality of the movement. It is now governed by people who have armaments at their disposal in magnitude we never dreamed of before.
I think it's really important to always remember freedom is not a free good.
We're in a race, just in some respects like the arms race of the Cold War, but now even quicker, even faster, and we have to make sure we win that race.
Our military has faced an incredible array of quickly evolving challenges over the last 20 years. The face of warfare today is very different than it was during the attacks on 9/11.
I think we need to make it clear that if Vladimir Putin engages with Ukraine further,
we will aggressively, like we did during the Cold War, begin to make it clear, that we will fight for Western democracy.
But we have a lot of capabilities, the United States does, in order to track and then target enemies of our country. So if necessary, we'll use those capabilities and we'll continue to monitor Al-Qaeda in that region.
Above all, from what I felt from him was he felt this responsibility of what is American leadership internationally and where do we stand? What is the principle, that we will stand on? What lines will we not cross and what will we fight for? And I felt that strongly in working with him.
When I became whip in the early part of, 2002, just the first month, he came to me and he said, I need this bill to get out of the House and you're going to have to do it. We prevailed. We got it done working together.
Well, we all remember his legendary temper. Everybody had a McCain moment.
The North Vietnamese were going to let him go primarily as a propaganda ploy. And McCain, following the military code of conduct, which says, I won't take favors from my captors, refused to leave. I mean, it's just a remarkable act of courage and duty.
That was one of the great days of my life, the honor of the time that your husband shared with me. He was the very epitome of decency, kindness, humanity, civility, and a man who understood that one doesn't have to make a mortal enemy or an evil person out of somebody who happens to disagree about what you think the top marginal tax rate should be.
As I think about what I hope the world thinks of when they think about America and exceptionalism, they think about John McCain, a person who was in a Vietnamese prison, tortured brutally for years upon years, and then some years later, as a United States Senator, comes back to the same country and embraces people and shares the message of freedom. This is what makes, I think, our country so special. It's people like that, and I know this is a forum that's in many respects devoted to his memory. I hope we don't forget that as we think about this great cause we're about.
We got great bipartisan support. That's what you want, Senator. That's the spirit who is watching above us. Senator McCain always had. That's what Cindy McCain's spirit had. It's still many that believe that working together, we're always going to be achieving more. Actually, you want people that think different than you. It's more fun that way.
Where are today's John McCains? We are lacking leadership across the top to make good policy and call out bad policy.
I have known no person similarly dedicated to the importance of America, security, and human progress.